You were part of the civil society representatives that was invited to the Commonwealth People's Forum in 2013 in Sri Lanka. Can you give us a background of the Commonwealth People's Forum?
Well, I think the Commonwealth People's Forum is actually coordinated and organized by the Commonwealth Foundation. Now, the Commonwealth Foundation is one of the three, I don't know if you call them segments, institutions that make up the Commonwealth. You have the Commonwealth Foundation, you have the Commonwealth Secretariat, then you have the Commonwealth of Learning. Now, the Commonwealth Foundation is the one that really works a lot with and through civil society. They coordinate civil society's voice to make a contribution to the Commonwealth process, when it comes to development issues, etc., within the Commonwealth. So the People's Forum is an annual event that is held, in one of the Commonwealth countries, where you have citizens of the Commonwealth invited to come and discuss, the space to engage on specific issues concerning the development of the Commonwealth, and which, at the end of which, you have the citizens' voice, then collated in a sense, and put in a document and then presented to the heads of state and governments. And citizens also have the opportunity to interact with their governments, because it's always happens when you have the Commonwealth heads of states and governments meeting. Then you have the People's Forum as one of the events that happen alongside the heads of state and governments meeting. So you have the citizens and you have the governments, the heads of governments, and they can then have the space to engage formally and informally. So that's what it's about. The key objective of the 2013 forum was to discuss the post-2015 agenda, development agenda. You know that we have for some time now had the Millennium Development Goals, which will be quote-unquote expiring in 2015. And the discussion is, so what after 2015? What are the key issues that we need to be engaging? What are the things that our heads of state and governments should be taking into serious consideration as it affects the development of the Commonwealth? And so this was a discussion at the Commonwealth People's Forum, where the Commonwealth Foundation had already, working with a number of countries, worked on done some research, done some background work, and come up with some key thematic areas that we needed to discuss, and then come up with our own suggestions and recommendations for government to look at when it comes to looking at post-2015 development.
What were some of the specific contributions that civil society made during this meeting?
I would say that, again, we are looking at the Commonwealth, and so you actually had civil society representatives coming from Asia, from Africa, from the small states, or from New Zealand. You had all of them coming together, and some of the key areas that they raised looked at the issue of women and girls, as ensuring that we should continue to look at women's empowerment as one of the key goals that remains, and that we ensure it stays and is promoted. The issue of young people came up very strongly, and the fact that we have to look at young people's education, young people's employment, looking at issues related to entrepreneurship, and then even the different continents. Africa came up with some key issues that they thought that we should look at. If we are looking at development post-2015, financing for development was one of the key issues that Africa raised. And the small states and islands had issues related to non-communicable diseases, for example. For Africa, again, coming back to Africa, the issue of extractives, the extractive industry, and looking at ensuring that the resources were really used for the benefit of the people. So the environment, there were some key issues that really cut across that were seriously discussed and agreed upon. And we had an opportunity to prepare an outcome document, which we then presented to the meeting of the foreign ministers and representatives of the different governments in Colombo. I mean, there's civil society organizations were in Equitable, and the governments were in Colombo. So we did have an opportunity to meet. I hope that we would have had more of these opportunities, but well, there was still the opportunity, which is good.
At that unique forum, where you had the opportunity to meet with government, and you were, should I say, the face of West African civil society at that meeting, what opportunity does that bring to civil society in West Africa?
A number of opportunities. One, we are part of the discourse, and that is what it shows, that West Africa is represented. And yes, I was part of the team that worked on the outcome document, but there were other West Africans present, and you also had the General Secretary of WACSI, who was also present, as well as several other West Africans. So the fact that you had a West African presence meant that we also had a voice in the discussion, and so we could bring our own unique perspectives from West Africa to bear on the discussions that were going on and on the final recommendations that were made to governments. I mean, when we talked about Africa, West Africa was very strong on talking about the issue of extractives, for example. So these are some of the things that it was good that we had the opportunity. Again, when we met with the governments, we also had our government representatives, they had an opportunity to hear us. We also had an opportunity to have informal discussions with government representatives that were present. But even taking it further, I believe that the discussion around the post-2015 does not end at the People's Forum. I mean, we are not yet in 2015. We are still looking at the issues, and there are different discussions going on, regional discussions, continental discussions, global discussions. And for WACSI and some of our partners such as WACSI, we are going to continue these discussions around the post-2015 to actually look at how it aligns with our own regional agenda for the sub-region, and how our governments can really look. We want to have a post-2015 development agenda that actually resonates with the needs of the people. So it's something that, yes, we can talk about it, regional, sub-regional, regional, continental, global, but in the end, if the ordinary person in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, wherever, should be able to see the difference that it makes in their lives. And that means that we have to bring it down, the discussion down to the people. So that's why WACSI would be working with WACSI together with the Commonwealth Foundation to look at how continuing this discussion on the post-2015, looking at how it gels with our own regional agenda. And I'm talking about what ECOWAS is also looking at, how we can engage our governments at the ECOWAS level as well as at the national levels to ensure that West African needs are reflected in